Our lovely friends at I Care, I Move started a new show this year for us on Chaos TV, Women's Hour, and we've been talking about loads of different subjects. It's a really popular show, which we're really, really lucky to have. This week, it is time for the last Women's Hour of the year, and normally Pat and Helen come in with their and have a little guest on. But I think we can go live now to Falmouth, where Helen is in her very own studio. Afternoon.
Hello, how are you coming in?
Oh my goodness, look at your house. It's so festive.
I know. I thought I'd show you around my Christmas home. Sadly, Pat's poorly. So with everything that's going on, I decided coming into the home, ask me questions. Let's have a little nose around, and then we'll move over and we'll talk to our lovely guest speaker today, an old friend and an amazing person who is such an important part of Cornwall, and I'm going to talk with Emma later.
I feel like I'm on Through the Keyhole. Like.
Great, me and you over the year. Well, since the pandemic, winging it has been part of our style, right? And
yeah.
Stuff would happen and we would just go, let's react. So here I am, and I thought, come home. You haven't seen me here in a long time. I love Christmas. And this was my outfit I was going to wear in the studio today. And I thought, here I am. Let me share my Christmas bits and bobs with you.
You're looking very, very festive, glittery, sparkly, very glam as always. Henry's going to be jealous. He's going to be livid that he's not seen that up close. But yeah, all right, let's have a nose round then. It's looking lovely. Because last time, for long-term Chaos TV viewers will remember, Helen and I used to do this a couple times a week, sometimes 5 days a week, a little chat and a nose round. And we've made mimosas in your kitchen. We've had a nice workout all over the place in the garden. So it's nice to be back.
Yeah, well, thank you. And what's changed? Quite a few things have changed. Mostly, she's not here right now, but we've taken on a new puppy, and she will bundle in here later. But this is winter for me, and I mean, every day of the year should be fair. As far as coach. Long before I was a wellness coach, I was an interior designer. I stayed with me. That little flair is still love to stage things and make things gorgeousness. One day maybe I'll own another shop and see what that'll look like. Who knows?
Well, don't take anything off the table, because you and Pat and Nikki, of course, are so busy this year. It's been a really busy year for you guys.
Yeah, and in spite of furlough, so we had that at the beginning of the year. We've grown. The business has grown. We're doing so much work around supporting people with neurological conditions and long COVID. More importantly, long COVID, because that's been a real surprise. And I think it's been quite sad actually, because we've got nothing to base it against. So we've never been here as the globe has never been here before with this type of pandemic, in spite of Spanish flu and so on. Actually, the recovery has been quite traumatic for quite a few people, and they're not getting any better. So we are literally having to go back and go through trauma with them, pacing, helping them with fatigue, and just really take it slow one day at a time as they move forward to their recovery to wellness.
And I think recovery is a really important word there, because Alex was in the studio with me earlier on this morning, and we were talking about the kind of vibe people are wanting, the government included, that it's all just going to go back to normal and as soon as possible, and life will be back to normal. But the reality is we've been through a lot of change and a lot of trauma, and COVID, the effects of COVID are going to be here for years to come, and we need to embrace that. We need to acknowledge kind of how we're feeling and how our well-being is, and how we go through the therapy of that. It's unrealistic to think everything will go back to normal in a few weeks' time or a few years' time.
You're absolutely right. And I think one of the things that I am seeing quite a lot recently, organisations, our own NHS, care sector, they've been put into this high state of alert 2 years ago now, and they haven't been stood down. So there's never been opportunity for them to debrief, reflect, And it's just been one thing after another, and they're just holding their breath and holding their breath. And they're exhausted. We're all exhausted. It affects so many people on so many different levels. And that's the worry. In the armed forces, in the military, when they do go off to campaigns, there is a period of time off, time down, reflection, build up your power again, and then start again. And we're not getting that. And I think that's the piece that I'm worried about as we move forward, and we'll be able to support people with moving forward.
Yeah, and I guess maybe one of the positives from the pandemic has been that we have been a bit more, our eyes have been opened, and I think people have become a bit more receptive to understanding their mental health and their physical health, and the importance and also the impact of what happens when we're spending more time at home. We're maybe not traveling out as much, we're not exercising as much, we're not moving as much. So a real importance of what educating ourselves on the signs to look for, the ways we can kind of make ourselves feel and look better, and also doing it at home as well. You're not having to go out and travel the country and go to gyms and things. There's a lot we can do ourselves in our own routine, in our own time.
Yeah, and it works both sides of that spectrum. So those who are introverted and like their isolation may value this time and actually step up their game. And those that are extroverted, those of us that need people in our lives, have struggled, where they've stepped back into isolation and working from home. But also that inability to turn off. So when they are home working, and like myself last year, I had an office in my front room, so I would be there all day, all night, and not taking a break away from it. Whereas most of us will get in the car, go to work, or get on the bus and go to work, and then we come home and have that time down where that space from one to the other, and that's been a big challenge and a real worry.
Obviously, you guys have had to adapt quite a lot as well over the last couple of years, because for people who maybe weren't familiar with your work, you guys were very busy going around the county, the country, into old people's homes, into the community, and educating people and doing your workshops. And then suddenly we had to kind of embrace this virtual way of doing it. But I mean, has that worked? Have you enjoyed that kind of new experience? I mean, it's been quite stressful for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, for me as a person and us as a business, we sit firmly with that growth mindset. So change is good for me. I like it. We were already kind of working digitally pre-pandemic. We lost about 70% of our business overnight as a result of the pandemic. But equally, we almost reinvented ourselves, and now in a good positive place. We have new offices. What we learned was the magic of Zoom. There's no excuse. So we can eventually get all people somehow digitally enhanced, so they know how to log on. And we've used charities to tech, to upload tech, update tech, teach, educate. And, we've got our claim to fame now is we have a 100-year-old that uses Zoom on a regular basis in terms of falls prevention with us. But the great thing is, with the pandemic, there's this whole bunch of, we've never done this before, let's give it a go and see what happens. And I think that's the beauty of working with you guys, because chaos rocks my world, because you guys are so like, well, we'll give it a go and see.
Well, we've always said that, chaos is about the people, and it's the people we attract as well. So there is this natural synergy and harmony between both of us, our organisations, and our people as well. Our people, your people. Yeah. It's very much, well, we're going to do this. Do you fancy coming on? Or can you do that? Yeah, brilliant. And like, we laugh about it. And it's funny because I've dropped a project on the team here this morning that we're going to work on over the next few days. And I initially thought last night, I was like, well, when Pat and Helen are in next, I'm going to get them to do this because I know you're up for it. You'll just go for it.
Yeah. We don't say no. In fact, saying no to for mental well-being is a really important thing. However, we've never said no to you guys, because it's going to lead somewhere. And if it's a new connection, a new friendship, or somebody who's actually moving forward to enhance their life, then I'm all for that. And you know that. We love you guys.
We love it. We love it. Listen, you've got Emma coming on in a minute. Tell us a little bit about Emma Brown. Who is she? Why do we need to talk to her on Women's Hour?
Who is she? Right. Well, Emma Brown is somebody that I came across many, many years ago in my fitness career. So I was aware of her as a fitness instructor, as I was, and she's amazing. She teaches or used to teach a lot of amazing classes. We found ourselves working together, and she has an amazing story around her wonderful daughter Connie, and that's a big part of the conversation today. But she's had highs and she's had lows in her life, and a lot of changes. And it's her resilience that I think is the thing we're going to wrap around today, because she's now a coach, a life coach, and she's doing some really wonderful things. But the journey to get here is pretty phenomenal. And it's that bounce back ability, that positivity that she has, and the joy she brings to other people's lives is the reason why I love her. And she's been on my radar a long time. So when we asked her to come on to Woman's Hour, she was like, yeah, I'm in. And then everything changed this week. So we went, can you come in and fill the spot? And she went, I'm in. So she was going to talk about her breast cancer as well. And she is going to talk about her life in sign language, what she does in terms of Makaton. And she's going to talk about the wonderful Connie, who's really changed a lot of people's lives, because Connie has Down syndrome, and she's awesome and a little doll. We love them both. We love them all. So we're going to talk to Emma, and we're just going to roll with it and see what happens, hey?
Okay, I love that. Okay, well, we're looking forward to speak to Emma. We're going to play a song so we can get Emma on. Can we just take a moment, though, to appreciate your lovely kitchen and how your cat is just, like, so uninterested in what's going on? She's like, I'm happy here.
She hates us. She hates us because we have a puppy. So, and this is typical bad behaviour of her. She's like, I don't care who you are, I'm not playing. But like this. This is my ladder.
It's
and
beautiful.
Daisy behind the camera, God bless her. She's a fashion photographer. I made Daisy hang from the Velux windows one day. We dropped things on her toes. It was awful. It was traumatic. She still talks about it today. But actually what we got was a suspended ladder. And I changed this seasonally, so it's all gorgeous and winter wonderland right now. Interior design, I do a lot of paint finishes. So this was the last bastion of golden warm pine. And recently I waxed all of this, and my husband just gave in. If I get bored, I paint furniture. If I'm stressed, I paint furniture. So we do lots of this stuff in this house. I recycle and upcycle all the time. The trick is good lighting, fairy lights, and then hide everything in the cupboards like Stacey Solomon does.
Just like my house, under the bed. If you lost it, it's under the bed. All right, Helen, stay there. We're going to play a song. We'll get Emma on, and we'll be back in a few minutes. All right. Right, okay. We are doing Women's Hour a bit differently, though, this week, as Helen is at home. I'm pressing the buttons. Owen's pressing the buttons. Hopefully we've got Emma on as well. Let's have a look. Helen, Emma, are you there? Look at that. Look, magic, as if by magic. Helen, you've transitioned into your beautiful lounge. Lovely tree, by the way.
Well, shall I tell you a story about my tree? Well, for a start, my kids have always been banned from decorating my tree. And this year I decorated it, and I'm menopausal, so my life is just hell. Always, there's always some kind of sweaty drama nightmare going on. And I went to water it, and as I was watering it, I reached my arm back to flick the switch to turn the lights off, and the whole goddamn thing went.
Oh.
Everything. And then it was all a complete palaver, because when it fell over, it broke the stand. So it's if you look closely, there's a white string, and that's actually holding it up in place now. And it's looking a bit disheveled. Things have broken off it. So I look at it now and see this as the metaphor for life. It's just like patched up. And we're not allowed to talk about it. For about 3 days, I had no sense of humour with my terrible Christmas tree, because I love it. I'm so proud of it. And it's steeped. This isn't a fashion thing. It's just steeped in memories. So every bauble tells a story. Lots of them got broken and damaged. And I could talk about it.
Well, it looks lovely, and I thought you were going to say it involves something to do with the cat or the dog taking it down, because I've seen a lot of pictures and videos on social recently of pets enjoying
No,
people's Christmas trees. But hey,
no.
Emma's here. Emma, I just want to check we can hear you. How are you, please?
Yeah, I'm good today, thank you.
Excellent stuff. And where are you today? Where are you joining us from?
So I'm at home in St Agnes.
Beautiful St Agnes. I hear it's quite sunny down that way today. Is that true or is that lies?
Probably a lie.
Fair enough. Right, Helen. Well, I'm gonna leave you and Emma to it. You've got about 20 minutes if you want it. So just give me a shout when you're done. But enjoy, please.
Yeah, yeah, will do. Absolutely. Thanks, Nay. Emma Brown. Hello, my darling. How
Hello,
you doing?
lovely. I'm good, actually. Yeah, I am good.
Oh,
Really.
that's good. I love that. You were reinforcing that. I am good.
Yeah.
You've been to hell and back. Where do we start this conversation today?
So I think for me, there's been two massive things in my life that have brought me to where I am today. And the first one would be the birth of Connie, my first daughter, who was born with Down syndrome, and we weren't aware prenatally. And so that opened up a whole world of, it opens up a whole new family of people to me, actually. But it obviously brought with it kind of challenges, and you almost go through that grieving process. But it also opened doors for me to train as a Makaton tutor and to help other families. And then obviously the second massive thing in my life was having breast cancer about 2.5 years ago. I can't believe it's that long ago now, but it is. And again, I think that it brought back some of the memories from when Connie was born, but it also made me reevaluate my life and reassess what was important. It impacted me more mentally than I thought it would. And I think lockdown played a part in that as well, obviously. And but it's led me to where I am now, sat in a new house, just taken redundancy from work and trained to be a life coach. So setting off on that journey now. So for all two really massive things that have happened to me in the last 10 years, it's taken me to such a good place that actually I can't be angry or upset about those things anymore, actually.
And during both of those times, there are moments, I'd imagine, because I've had a similar journey, where you think, why me? Why now? Why this? All these, and people would, you'd almost feel patronised by it when people would say, this too will pass, and it's all for a reason. And at the time, you just want to punch them in the face.
Absolutely. And also a lot of people go along, well, you make your own luck in life. And I'm like, well, you don't, clearly. Because as you know, I've worked in the health and fitness industry for years. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was probably at the healthiest I had ever been, eating well, exercising well, managing perimenopause really well. And then bang, breast cancer. And so that felt really unfair. And even with Connie, and it's been 10 years since Connie was born, nearly. She's 10 in February. But that felt really, really unfair in those first few months. I know I'm not alone in that. I know almost every parent that has a pre or postnatal diagnosis feels that way. Fortunately, because of parents like me and others that are around, the way diagnosis is handled and managed, particularly in Cornwall, is vastly different to how it was 10 years ago. And so
Tell us about that bit, because I know that's, you've been newsworthy for years, so tell us about that moment.
Yeah.
How you've
So Connie wasn't born in Cornwall. Actually, she was born out of county. But I know for a fact from speaking to people that had she been born in Cornwall, the situation 10 years ago would have been the same. I would have probably been spoken to in quite a negative way around, I'm sorry, rather than congratulations on the birth of your daughter. It was very much sorry, very much, we were transferred to a separate room. So I wasn't on the maternity ward. We were given information and leaflets that was very medical and very negative. So very much like your child has this percentage of catching leukemia or heart disease or early onset dementia, all that. Now, if you have a typical developing child, no parent gets a book of statistics, medical statistics about the likelihood of that happening. But it's still there. There's still a chance that my typically developing daughter could get cancer or dementia. Do you know what I mean? It was very kind of medical and negative. And so the guys here in Cornwall, we've changed that, and we launched a book that we gift to parents. That was launched about 8 years ago now, actually, the first volume of it, which, you know, we're not taking away from the fact that it's a tricky time. It's an emotional time. You're almost like grieving for the child that you thought you were going to have. And we don't take away from that, but we set up this book, and it's a picture book. And Connie is in it, as are loads of other children from Cornwall. And it shows the journey from birth to about going to school, so about age 5. And it shows actually in photos that your life will just be a family life. You'll still go on picnics. You'll still go to the park. All of that stuff will still happen. Yeah, it might take a bit more planning, but like, you know, being a parent is a bit of a slap in the face anyway. If you know, like nobody tells you about all that in the antenatal classes. They don't tell you all the, like, you know, bad stuff. Yeah. You know, all the difficult stuff, I should say. And so we gift this book, and we're really lucky. We've got a close relationship with the guys at Trellisk. And now every child that's born that has diagnosis of Down syndrome in Cornwall receives a gift pack. So it has the book in it. It has information from other support charities as well. Positive About Down Syndrome, which is a national charity. It has a little gift for the baby. It has a little gift for mum, because if you're in hospital for any length of time, we all know that your skin and your lips like just dry up. And if there's a sibling, we give a little gift for the sibling as well, if we know there's a sibling. And that's gifted. We don't put any pressure on the parents, but it's just to let them know there's other people out there that have been through it and that it's going to be all right.
And in that moment, many people don't want that support. You kind of inwardly have to deal with it before you start reaching out and asking those questions. I know similar life-changing things. I mean, we nearly lost Daisy in childbirth, and she had a thing called meconium aspiration syndrome. So the first poo takes over the lungs. And
so did Connie, yeah.
And in those days, the survival rate was very poor. And when she did survive, they said, well, she's probably going to be deaf. And you'll probably need oxygen for the rest of your life. And she's probably going to have this, that, and the other. And there will be, you know, a lot of health issues. But you should be really grateful because you've got a living baby, and most of the mums that have meconium aspiration die. So you should be really grateful. So, and it was just the way I was handled felt terrible because I was just in shock. And then I never really healed from it until Maddie became diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, where I felt like I'd gone through all of this all over again. And there was a moment where Daisy, Maddie was in intensive care. They think that she was having a stroke. She was having a nosebleed. She was really unwell on an insulin driver. And normally, a bit of insulin, they bounce back really quickly, but she wasn't. And at that point, they said, we think there's other things going on where we're looking at possible organ failure. And at that point, Daisy's running down the corridor towards me, and I broke my heart, and I did not stop crying for hours and hours and hours. And it was all like it was Daisy all over again. And it took a long time for me to heal from that. So it's so important, this messaging that it's, you know, stuff happens. Yeah. But what can we do that is positive and wonderful and not put our mental health at such terrible state as well?
Absolutely. And Connie had meconium aspiration as well. And actually in the first 48 hours of her life, that was the thing that was threatening her life the most. We had to get through that first 48 hours before we could even go through the kind of Down syndrome side of things and the other challenges that might come with that. And, you know, the importance of language is so key. And another mum in Cornwall, Rebecca, she's created these cards, which we use at Talisk now and other hospitals, about the importance of language and how a change of a simple word can have a massive, massive impact. So we really encourage the guys at Talisk now to say, you know, the chance of having a child with Down syndrome, not the risk, because it's not a risk. You know, you might have a fire risk. You're not having a risk of having a child with Down syndrome. It's not like, you know, devastation and doom and gloom. It's a chance. But that can really affect a parent's or a potential parent's kind of mental well-being. Just that simple change of word has a massive impact on well-being and how you approach things.
And tell me, how is the Consta? How is she?
She's good. She's good. This time of year is always a little bit of a challenge because it's Christmas coming up. And so routines go out the window and there's lots of glittery, exciting stuff going on. And so for a child who does struggle to process things and needs that routine, she does struggle this time of year a little bit. She's doing okay at the moment. And so far we are completely, you know, COVID free and she's all well and all that sort of stuff. So she's doing amazing well. The scary thing is that I have to think about her. Well, I have to choose her secondary school after Easter, and I know that will come around so quickly. So that's my next big thing, really.
Oh. Well, for those that are watching, Connie is a little rock star. She's joy, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's absolute little darling. For anybody that has ever met her or come across her, she lights up the room. She's a cracking little thing.
Yeah, she absolutely is. I know I'm her mum and I'm slightly biased, but yeah, she changed my life totally. And she changes the life of people that she gets, you know, that she meets and she comes into contact with because of that kind of joy and strength of character that comes with that as well. And she's so funny. She's so funny. The comic timing she has is incredible.
Oh, fantastic. I want to jump forward to what you said. You've just started this journey as a life coach. I'd like to kind of correct you there a minute because, as you know, I coach, and I don't feel like it's a new thing because you've been in the fitness industry for a really, really long time. So your coaching has been really a long journey. So when you started this life coaching recently, it's actually years and years of experience to support this. What does your life coaching look like now?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And I think that's one of the reasons I decided that life coaching would be what I was going to do. Like it was my calling in life almost, actually. And that everything up until this point had just been the building blocks for it. So doing the fitness coaching, giving birth to Connie and training as a Makaton tutor, having breast cancer, and just supporting other people made me feel really positive and good about myself and what I was doing. And for me, as I said, after having breast cancer, I did struggle with my mental health. You know, I had some of my treatment before the first lockdown and then some of it after lockdown. And so first lockdown for most people were out enjoying the Cornish sunshine and, you know, family life. For me, it felt limbo, definitely. And so when we came out of that first lockdown, I was not in a great place, actually, mentally or physically. And my friend put me in touch with this life coach. And it just felt like a weight had been lifted. It really felt like I found me again. I found who I was. I found that, I am going to get like emotional now. I found that joy that was me, that passion, that fire, you know, that person that had been missing for about 18 months. And so I am a massive advocate of coaching and talking about things. And so for me, life coaching now is my full-time job. That's what I'm going to do. You know, I took redundancy 2 weeks ago. Well, not even 2 weeks ago. And so I am planning lots of programs and I'm working particularly with parents of children that have a disability, because that can be a really difficult place. You can lose your sense of identity. You just feel like you're somebody's mum. Quite often working is hard because you're a full-time carer. And also doing some more of the restorative stuff with cancer patients, breast cancer in particular, because as you know, physically that puts you into such a difficult place, because it puts you into menopause almost always. And it's a massive, massive impact on your life and shock. And the service that we have at the Cove at Macmillan and NHS is great in Cornwall. It is great, probably one of the best. But you get, if you're lucky, you get 6 weeks of counselling, 6 sessions of counselling, which isn't enough. And the counselling is very much about dealing, I think, with your anger and how you feel in that moment in time. It doesn't step you into that bright future. It doesn't even give you a future. I felt like I didn't have a future.
Yeah.
And so the life coaching has done that for me.
There is so many reports and lots of research around this, because people survive cancer so much more now, which is brilliant. But they go through this whole period, painful, traumatic period of treatment. And then, hooray, you ring the bell, you're out the door. And then you fall off a cliff. So you go from all this support and to help you move forward with the disease, and then nothing. And so and I've argued this for so many years, that more and more people need that support. And it's like, where you as a coach, I as a coach, we move forward. It's almost like we blur the lines. We start when the NHS stops.
Yeah.
And what you said around shining the light on the future and be empowered by it, I completely agree with you. One of my dear friends, you may have met her, Sue Fraser. She went through breast cancer during literally, I think she was diagnosed about a month before lockdown, and rang the bell probably 3 months ago now. She says, and we must interview her one day, she says it was the best thing that happened to her. Obviously, it was very painful, it was very traumatic, and but actually it gave her a sense of who she was and made her reflect on her own life and where she's going moving forward. So this is wonderful, and it's really great to hear this side of your story. So what's it going to look like? Are you going to be in a room with somebody? Have you got an office? Or show me, tell people, because not everybody knows what life coaching's about.
Yeah, so I think, and I totally agree, I think people don't know the difference between life coaching and therapy and counselling. And so for life coaching, it's really about talking about where you want to go with your life. So just like you would get a PT or a fitness coach to work on your body, with a life coach, we work on where you want to go in life. And it can be anything, okay? It can be as simple as trying to work out how you manage to take your family on holiday every year. Because for some people that can be overload and sense of overwhelm and financially challenging. For other people, it might be that you want to start your own business, you want to move house, you want to, it can be massive, and it depends on your age and where you are in life and what's important to you. And really, we can talk about any of that, and we can unlock any of that in life coaching. And I don't tell you the answers. I don't give you the solutions at all. I don't lead you. It comes from inside that person. Because ultimately, I think we all know what we want out of life. We just get lost sometimes. Or we get scared to say what we want because there's fear of being judged or being a failure or not being good enough. There's all those things, particularly as women, I think, when we're juggling, that we use as a reason and as an excuse. And it quite often presents itself as like procrastination or something like that, or anxiety. And actually it's not. It's just having that courage and having someone literally have your back and say, okay, if you want to do that, do it. Yeah. And I've had people come to me and they'll say, oh yeah, I just can't see it happening. I just don't know how to make it happen. I can't see it happening. And I'm like, well, it won't happen then. It won't happen. If you can't see it happening, it's not going to happen because you won't take that step. And so we use those steps to kind of unlock things. And so for me, it led to me moving house. And it also led to me taking the massive jump of leaving the job that I've been in for 21 years. And so going forward, what it looks like, I have an office at home. I've been doing a lot on Zoom at the moment as well, which means I've been able to reach out to people outside of Cornwall as well, which has been lovely, because there aren't enough people around helping people that have children with disabilities or that are going through cancer or going the other side of cancer. And longer term, we've moved into a house which has a little bit of land. And so longer term, I want to do some little wellbeing retreats, day retreats and things like that. A bit of yoga, a bit of mindfulness, a bit of coaching and things like that. So really excited about where the next sort of 18 months to 2 years will go. Bless you. But early doors at the moment. But I'm going to do some online courses as well for people to sort of tap into as well.
Hey, we need to work together and do some work together, because again, for those who are new to this call, myself and Emma, we used to teach in the same gym, and in fact, when you were going through that diagnosis, I picked up your class and looked after it for you. But that's the great thing, because our health and our well-being is such a big part of who we are as people. We're not on this planet to live to work. Working is something that's evolved as we've come out of the cave women years. My puppy's back, so I'll show you my puppy.
Helen and Emma, we're nearly out of time, I'm afraid. I think we do another hour easy, but unfortunately the cinema's coming up next. I'll just let you know, I don't know if you want to kind of wrap up a little bit. It's really interesting stuff, though.
Yeah,
thank you.
Emma, you are an incredible person. You've done some wonderful things, and this is just the beginning, right?
Totally. And I remember a very wise woman by the name of Helen saying to me a few years ago that she knew there was more for me, and she knew where my life was going to take me. And I think you were right. Yeah.
You deserve everything that's coming to you, because your story's magnificent, and it's your strength. It will take you places, and you're going to go on to do even more wonderful things than you already do. You certainly touched my heart, and I always remember the first time I met little Connie when she came into my little health club, and she just mesmerised me. So she's fantastic. You're fantastic. You've got the biggest heart, and you do some amazing things to help people move forward. So thanks today. Have a wonderful Christmas with your family, and I will see you in the new year, well and healthy. We're going to work together, girl.
Let's
manifest now.
I will. I shall see you in the new year, lovely.
Yeah, thank you, Emma Brown.
Thank you, Helen.
Oh, girls, thank you so much. And for kind of rolling with the new format of the show today. We love it. Helen, that is it for Women's Hour this year. Back next year, please.
Yes, absolutely. We're back. We're actually booked up. We've got a really good lineup all the way through to July next year. We know where we're going. We've got some incredible women coming to do talks with us, and manifesting what next year is going to look like. More women doing wonderful things. The great thing is taking advantage of the goodness that's coming out of the pandemic as we link together and continue to just grow, embrace, be fabulous, and just try and keep people feeling well and strong and healthy moving forward.
I think that's a great way to end the segment, and I think a big thank you to all you guys at I Care I Move, and big thank you from everyone here. It's probably the last time we're going to get to talk on air before Christmas. So have a lovely Christmas. It's been a fab year of Chaos TV, and we look forward to working with you again next year.
All my love. You take care. I love you all, guys. So have a wonderful Christmas.
Take care, Helen. Cheers. Love you. Bye.